Hey, it's me, Kathy. We're going to do something fun today. It is the day after New Year's, and yesterday, on New Year's Day, I learned that there's a southern dish called a Hoppn John, and it's ham and black-eyed peas and vegetables and rice, and it's a tradition down south. Now, I'm not from the south, but I live here now, and it's a tradition to make Hoppn John on New Year's Day. And I didn't have all the ingredients yesterday, so I didn't make it yesterday, but we're gonna make it today, and let's do it. We're gonna start by heating up some bacon fat in a Dutch oven, if you have one. I don't, or a skillet that's this size, or a saucepan. And when it gets melted and bubbly, we're gonna start cooking our vegetables. Now, if you're making your Hoppn John with bacon, cook the bacon in this pan, and then you're gonna add the vegetables to it. But I'm going to use a little bacon and some ham, but my bacon is already cooked. So this is the way we're going to do this. Our bacon fat is melted and ready to go. And we have some celery, some peppers, and some onion. And in we go. I think we need to reduce the heat a little bit. Stir them around, season them up with a little bit of salt and pepper. We're using a lot of chicken stock in this, so we don't need a whole lot of salt. Some thyme. And a sprinkle of cayenne pepper, however hot you like it. That's how much you want to use. I think that's good enough for me. Mix in our seasonings. Smells pretty good. And we're going to let these cook down a bit. And then we're going on to the next step. We don't have to cook them down too much because we have to cook the beans. And they're going to get cooked with the vegetables. So we're just going to wait for them to soften up a bit. Our vegetables are softening up nicely, and now it's time to add the equivalent of a few cloves of garlic. And we'll cook this for about another minute so that gets fragrant. Time to add in our ham. This is country ham. They called it chips. It kind of breaks up into small pieces. And I had to cook it, so there's a little bit of liquid going on in here. But break it up. If it gets hot, it's going to break up some more, so we'll just do that as we go along. Okay, the ham is in, and just because I had it on hand, I'm going to use some of this bacon too. I needed to use it up. Stir it all together. Mix it in with our veggies. Okay, we good. And we're on to the next step. And just the next thing that's going in is 4 cups of our black-eyed peas. There's one. And here comes the rest. Stir those around, and then we're going to add some chicken stock. And these beans are going to take 45 minutes to an hour to cook. Our stock is in. We're going to increase our heat and bring this to a boil. And then we're going to let it simmer for 45 minutes to an hour until these beans are fully cooked. And then we're going to do the rest. We have reached our boil, and now we're going to turn, I have already done it, turn the heat down to simmer, medium-low, and give it a little bit of a stir around. We're going to put a cover on this. With a little ventilation. And we're going to let it go for about 45 minutes. And let's check and see if the beans are done at that time. 45 minutes, and our Hoppn John is ready to move on to the next step. The beans are soft and hot. but a squish one. So let's do it. What we're going to do now is drain off the cooking liquid. I hope this bowl will hold it all. I think we got this. Here's what our Hoppn John looks like so far. Now we're going to go back into our pot. And now we are going to put a cover on this and keep it warm while we cook our rice. We now have a saucepan over medium heat. We're going to add just a little splash of olive oil to it. It's getting kind of hot. Now in goes our yellow rice. Real yellow on the bottom. And we're going to stir this around till it starts to get a little browned. Our rice is starting to brown up a little bit. And now what we're going to do is we're going to add 3.5 cups of our cooking liquid. Oh, boiling up. Slow down, baby. It did. Now we're going to turn this down to medium-low and let it simmer for about 20 minutes with a cover on. Cover's on, we're going to set a timer and we're going to stir it, every once in a while it's cooking. Our rice is done. I'm going to fluff it up a little bit. It's tender and soft. And now comes the next step for our Hoppn John. Here's Hoppn John. Here's a close-up of it. And now, this is when the rice goes in. And gets mixed together with our black-eyed peas and our meat and our vegetables. Seems like a good consistency. But if it is too stiff, you want to take some of your additional cooking liquid and add it in a little at a time until it reaches your desired consistency. I like it like this, but just to show you, because that's what I'm here to do, we're going to add a little bit in. This cooking liquid is thick because of the bean juice. We're going to mix this in. That seems good. It was our New Year's Hoppn John. And now we're gonna serve it up and give it a try. Traditionally, Hoppn John is served with collard greens and cornbread. And I got some of each. But the first thing we're gonna do is wash these. They don't look gritty. The next thing we're gonna do is cut the stems out. So it's just the leaves. And Kelly loves these, so I'm going to save the stems for her. And then we're going to roll them up and make sort of a chiffonade out of these. Cut them into the other way too, into smaller pieces. And we're going to continue on with the rest of our collards, and then we're going to saute them. Our collard greens are cookable and nicely shaped, and now we're going to move over to the stove and saute them. We're going to start by melting some butter in a skillet. You can use oil if you want to, but I like butter. And to this butter, we are going to add the equivalent of 2 or 3 cloves of garlic, minced, and we're going to cook this down for a couple of minutes until it gets fragrant. Before we do that, we're going to season it with some salt and pepper and a little pinch of red pepper flake. The Hoppn John is already a little spicy, so, and if you like it way spicy, then use some more. It is now time for our greens. In they go. All done, all in. Coat them up with our garlic and butter. Try to keep them in the pan. Maybe I'm cooking too many, but you know, greens cook down to practically nothing. So we're going to keep going till we're softened and tender. Now it's time to add some liquid to sort of steam them. This is the cooking liquid that I had left over from the Hoppn John. You can use chicken stock, you can use water, whatever you want. And you don't need a whole lot. Our collards are nicely cooked down. They stayed green. They did shrink up a bit. And now, just for a little touch of additional flavor and a little zing, we're going to put on just a splash of white balsamic vinegar, or you can use apple cider vinegar or any kind of vinegar you like. And we're going to mix that in. And now we're going to serve our Hoppn John. Here's our Hoppn John. I'm very surprised at how good it tastes. And our nice green collards. And now we're going to transfer them to a plate and serve it up. We're all plated up. Cornbread, collards, Hoppn John. And the thing that you put on top of the Hoppn John is some sliced scallions. I'm going to put some on the collards too. And there we have it, our traditional Southern New Year's Day meal, Hoppn John. Thank you for joining me, and Happy New Year. And I was surprised how good that this Hoppn John came out. I thought it was going to be way too salty or way too spicy. Here's what we look like on a fork. And now we're going in, and I'm not going to lie, I've already eaten some, but here we go. So yummy, and I really like it. And we'll be making that again sometime, I suppose, because, you know, it's fairly cheap to make, and it's delicious and very Southern, and Again, Happy New Year, and we'll see you soon.